Aloha and welcome from surf camp at the Northwest Washington coast. Today I want to talk a little bit about why plant molecules have such low toxicity and can still be effective, and the reason for this has to do with principles of synergy. And I want to talk about something called the polyvalent effect, which is essentially when, in order to have synergy biologically, there have to be multiple receptor systems targeted at the same time. If we are only using a single molecule drug that affects a single receptor system, there's no chance or possibility for synergy to occur because, as I mentioned, multiple biochemical pathways need to be elucidated for synergy. And just as a reminder, synergy is where the whole of the effects are greater than the sum of the parts. And the reason that plants utilize synergy to achieve biologic effects, whether that be to protect against bacteria or to protect against predators, is because they have to. And the reason they have to is because they need to have effectiveness in order for their survival to be ensured. And the best way from an evolutionary perspective that plants have achieved this is through the utilization of multiple chemical mixtures at the same time. It's typically how plants work most of the time, and there are notable exceptions, and we'll talk about one today, namely CBD. CBD is a single molecule that the plant makes. The plant actually makes CBD in an acid form to prevent the other foliage from growing underneath the hemp or the cannabis plant. But CBD does not act on a single receptor system. It acts on many receptor systems, including indirectly the CB1 and CB2 receptors. It also works on serotonin receptors, which is why it can help calm us down a lot of the time. Works on adenosine receptors, PPAR receptors, GPR55, and others. So in and of itself, CBD can almost have a type of a synergistic effect, and that's largely because it's stabilizing biologic networks. If you want to Google network pharmacology, I think you'll find a lot of interesting reading. And when you do that reading, think about it in the terms of multiple receptor systems. Some of our best antibiotics also are not just only acting on single receptors. They act in multiple areas. And if you think about what makes an antibiotic good, part of what makes an antibiotic good is the prevention of bacterial resistance. It's a big problem in the world today, and our better antibiotics work on multiple pathways, and nearly all of the plant antibiotics work on multiple pathways. CBD, by the way, is a has fantastic antibiotic properties and at very low concentration, largely because it is working in more than area at once. So think about the evolutionary pressures that plants face. They have to produce chemicals within their own physiology, so they can't make things that are so toxic that the plants kill themselves. They have to use lower toxic molecules, and yet at the same time they have to be effective towards their target. So they do this through the use mostly and most of the time of mixtures. And modern biology is catching on. Our most advanced cancer therapies, which can be very toxic, especially historically speaking. However, these days, scientists and medical doctors are utilizing multiple pronged attacks against the cancer so that they can reduce the dose. That means equal or greater effectiveness for the patient, but at less toxicity. So the plants have been doing this for millions of years, and they have had an immense amount of evolutionary experience through pressures of required survival, and they've gotten very good at making chemical mixtures to target very specific actions in other biologic organisms. Luckily, we as humans get to enjoy the fruits of the efforts of plants in this regards, and in this way they have become our allies and our teachers because they teach us so much about biology and these biologic systems. I'm Dr. Jake Felice here from the Washington coast. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys. Please feel free to leave comments, likes. I try to answer as many comments as I can. And you can find and follow me at sweetwaterholistic.com. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Aloha.